The market of Okunle woke up before the sun itself. Before roosters crowed, before dawn cracked her first yawn, the women were already there, sweeping the red earth, boiling water for tea, setting up their stands. Every corner had a rhythm of its own. Fishmongers clapped for customers. The spice sellers argued about prices. The air smelled like sweat, pepper, and dreams. And right in the middle of it all stood the braiders row, a long line of women with nimble fingers and sharper tongues. There was Mama Sade, the oldest of them, whose hands had touched 3 generations of heads. There was BC, loud and bright, who could twist a head of hair into a crown within 2 hours and still have time to gossip. And there was Amaka, the quiet one from across the river, who always prayed before she braided, whispering something under her breath before touching anyone's scalp. They were rivals, yes, but sisters too bound by the rhythm of combs, beads, and chatter. Until she came. She arrived on a Wednesday market day. Nobody noticed her at first. A slim young woman with skin smooth as fresh clay and eyes that didn't seem to blink much. She wore a plain wrapper and carried a small wooden box that jingled softly when she walked. New face, BC whispered to Mama Sade, pretending to adjust her stool. You see, Mama Sade squinted. Maybe she came to buy palm oil, but the woman didn't stop at any stall. She went straight to the empty space beside Amaka's stand, a space no one had wanted for years, because it sat beneath the old baobab tree, the one everyone said whispered at night. She placed her box on the ground, unfolded a stool, and sat there, no banner, no name, no customers, just that small, knowing smile. By noon, people started to notice her hands. They moved differently, faster, smoother, like water flowing around obstacles. When a little girl with scattered braids passed by, the woman called her softly, "Come, my child, let me fix your hair. No money, only to bless my hands." The girl hesitated, but her mother waved her on. Within minutes, those little messy braids turned into something neat and strange, twisted in a pattern no one in Okunle had ever seen. When the girl's mother saw it, she gasped. "Ah, you get handle." The woman only smiled. "My name is Ebele." By evening, 5 more heads had found their way to her stool. By the next market day, 10, and by the 3rd week, BC and Mama Sade were sitting idle, twisting their fingers instead of hair. At first, they tried to laugh it off. "Let her enjoy it while it lasts," BC said, rolling her eyes. "These newcomers, they always shine small and fade fast." But she didn't fade. She grew. She became the talk of the market. Women traveled from other towns just to sit on that tiny stool beneath the baobab. Everyone said Ebele's braids lasted longer, looked glossier, and somehow made them feel lighter. Even Amaka, the quiet one, began to watch her with worry. He noticed something strange. Whenever Ebele finished the braid, she would gather the tiny strands of hair that fell to the ground, the ones most braiders brushed away, and carefully placed them into a black calabash hidden inside her wooden box. Amaka saw it once. She said nothing. But that night, she dreamed of women without hair walking through the forest, calling her name. By the next market day, the gossip had turned heavy. "Maybe she's using juju," one of the food sellers whispered. "Ah, don't say that," another replied. "Her hands are just blessed. But her eyes, eh? Have you seen them? Always shining like she's seen more than us." They laughed, half afraid, half envious. Meanwhile, Ebele kept braiding quiet, graceful, and untouchable. She didn't join in their gossip. She never ate with them, and she never seemed tired. By now, the other braiders had lost almost all their customers. Even Mama Sade, who'd been in the market since before Ebele was born, sat under her umbrella with empty hands. One afternoon, unable to bear it any longer, BC marched up to Ebele. "My sister," she began, forcing a smile. "You did walk well, oh. But tell us more where you learned to braid like that." Ebele looked up slowly, far away. "Where?" "In a place people don't talk about." BC frowned. "You did play with me. You think we be fools here?" Ebele smiled again, that same quiet smile that never reached her eyes. "No, I think you are all blessed to be here." Then she returned to her work. That night, thunder rolled across Okunle, though the sky was clear. The wind hissed through the baobab like whispers from beneath the earth. Mama Sade couldn't sleep. She kept hearing voices, soft, familiar voices of women she'd braided long ago, calling her name from outside her window. When she looked out, there was nothing there, only the faint sound of braids swaying in the night. The next morning, Amaka went to see the market priestess, Iya Osho, who sold herbs and saw beyond sight. "Mama," she whispered, "I feel something strange in the market. Since that new woman came, things haven't been the same. The air feels heavy." Iya Osho looked up from her basket of kola nuts. You felt it too? Amaka nodded. The priestess leaned closer. Don't watch her hands, child. Watch her collection. The power is never in the hair that's braided, but in the hair that's kept. Amaka's heart skipped. You mean? Hair holds spirit, Iya Osho said calmly. Every strand remembers the head it came from. To gather it without permission is to hold a piece of their essence. Amaka's throat went dry. But what could she want with it? The priestess looked toward the market square, her eyes clouded with something ancient. Whatever it is, child, it is not for beauty. That evening, Amaka decided to follow Ebele home. She waited until the market closed, pretending to clean her stand. One by one, the vendors left, leaving only the whisper of crickets and the rustle of the baobab's leaves. Ebele packed her things carefully, every comb, every bead, every strand of fallen hair, then tied her wooden box short with red string. She walked down the narrow road behind the market, through the old quarter where the air smelled of damp clay and forgotten prayers. Amaka followed quietly, her heart pounding. Then Ebele turned a corner and vanished. Amaka froze. The road ahead was empty. Only the sound of her own breathing filled the air. And then she saw it, a faint light flickering from a small hut behind a mango grove. She crept closer. Through a tiny hole in the wall, she saw Ebele kneeling before a large black bowl filled with water and hair strands floating like dark roots on the surface. Ebele was whispering something, her voice soft and rhythmic. By the hair they left behind, by the spirit they forgot, I bind their beauty to my soul. I take what they show, I keep what they lose. So where's Amaka stumbled backward, her hand over her mouth. She didn't sleep that night. And by the next morning, she knew what she had to do. The next morning dawned heavy and grey, like the sky itself knew a secret it didn't want to tell. Amaka reached the market before anyone else. Her heart wouldn't stop pounding. She couldn't eat, couldn't drink, only replayed the whispers she had heard the night before. By the hair they left behind, I bind their beauty to my soul. She needed proof, she needed courage, and she needed someone who would believe her. By mid-morning, the market was alive again. Ebele was already there, calm as ever beneath the baobab, her hands moving like liquid gold through a woman's thick braids. Amaka watched her quietly from her stand, her stomach turning. Every time Ebele finished, she swept the ground clean, collecting every falling strand and tucking it away. Mama Sade and Bisi noticed Amaka's uneasy glances. You've been acting strange, Mama Sade said, narrowing her eyes. You've seen something, haven't you? Amaka hesitated. Then she told them everything, the calabash, the chanting, the hair in the bowl, the whisper of spirits. At first, Bisi laughed nervously. You mean she's using hair for juju? Ha, maybe that's why her braids last longer. But Mama Sadi didn't laugh. She pressed her lips tightly. No woman should keep another's hair without permission. That is an ancient taboo. They decided to go together to Iya Osho, the market priestess. When they reached the old woman's hut, Iya Osho was already waiting as if she'd known they would come. You have seen too much, she said without turning around. And yet, not enough. They knelt before her, trembling. Mama, Amaka began, what should we do? If she's taking people's hair for power, then she's taking their spirits too, Iya Osho said grimly. Hair carries memory, pride, and essence. To braid it is to bless. To keep it is to possess. Mama Sade frowned. But to what end? The priestess's eyes glowed faintly as she looked toward the marketplace. To become what she once lost. No one understood. Tonight, she said, you will see. But you must be brave. Bring no light. Speak no word. When the baobab begins to hum, follow its sound. That night, Okunle slept, but the market did not. The wind was restless. The leaves of the baobab rustled like whispers among spirits. And somewhere beneath its roots, something breathed. Amaka, Mama Sade, and Bisi crept through the darkness with Iya Osho leading, her old staff glowing faintly with white chalk. Ebele's stall sat empty, or so it seemed. The wooden box was still there, tied with its red string. They hid behind the pepper stalls and waited. At midnight, she came. Her wrapper shimmered faintly under the moonlight. Her eyes glowed, not with reflection, but with light of their own dim golden unblinking. She knelt before the baobab, untied the box, and poured its contents into a shallow clay bowl. Strands of hair, thousands of them tangled together like dark vines. Then she began to chant. By their strands I bind my laws. By their roots I find my form. What beauty I give, I take. What power I lend, I reclaim. Her voice trembled, deepened, and grew louder. The ground beneath the baobab shivered. The hair in the bowl began to move. coiling and twisting like living snakes. Amaka gasped. BC covered her mouth. Mama Sade whispered a prayer, but Iya Osho only watched. Then they saw it. The hair in the bowl began to rise, floating into the air, swirling around Ebele like a storm. For a moment, she looked different. Her face shifted, younger, then older, then scarred, then smooth again. Amaka's eyes widened. "What is she?" she whispered. Iya Osho spoke softly, sorrowfully. "She is not from here. Not anymore. She was once like you, a braider. But envy and pride drew her to dark spirits. She lost her beauty to them and was cursed to wander until she could weave it back, strand by strand, from others' hair. So she steals their essence to rebuild herself," Mama Sade breathed. The priestess nodded. "And each woman she braids grows weaker, not in body, but in spirit. They lose something small, a dream, a joy, a piece of light." BC shuddered. "Then we must stop her." But Iya Osho raised her hand, not with anger, with truth. They stepped out from hiding. Ebele froze, the swelling hair collapsing to the ground. Her eyes flared with golden light. "So," she said quietly, "you have come to watch the ugly truth. You are killing them," Amaka said, voice trembling. "You are taking what is not yours." "I am restoring myself," Ebele snapped. "Do you know what it's like to lose everything, your beauty, your youth, your spirit, because you trusted the wrong gods? They caused me to walk this earth, unseen, unloved, unless I rebuilt myself from the essence of others. I give them beauty they can wear and take what they no longer value. Is that theft or exchange?" Mama Sade's voice cracked. "You are playing with souls." Ebele's laughter was soft, sad. "They come willingly. They beg me to make them beautiful. None of them ask what happens to the hair that falls." Amaka stepped closer. "If only they knew what you did with their hair, they would never have come." Ebele looked at her for a long silent moment, then turned to Iya Osho. "You should understand, old one. We all pay a price to stay whole." "Yes," the priestess said gently, "but not with stolen light." Then she struck her staff into the ground. The baobab groaned a deep, ancient sound that made the air tremble. The roots glowed white, and the fallen hair in the bowl began to smoke. Ebele screamed. The golden light in her eyes flickered. Her braids unraveled one by one, turning to ash in the wind. "No," she cried. "You don't understand. Without them, I am nothing." "Then be nothing in peace," Iya Osho said. The wind howled, swirling the strands of hair around Ebele until they became a storm of black mist. For a moment, her face appeared again, young, sorrowful, almost human, before dissolving into the air. When the wind settled, only the empty wooden box remained beneath the baobab. The next morning, the market woke to strange news. The baobab tree had shed all its leaves overnight. Beneath it lay hundreds of tiny braids, lifeless, scattered, glittering faintly in the sunlight. No one ever saw Ebele again. But the women she'd braided began to change. Some said they dreamed vividly for the first time in months. Others said they cried without knowing why. And one, a little girl, claimed she heard a soft voice in her dreams whisper, "Thank you for letting me go." Amaka, Mama Sade, and BC never spoke of that night. But every morning before braiding a single head, they made sure to whisper a small prayer. May what leaves the head return to the earth, not to another soul. Iya Osho burnt the calabash and warned every woman who entered the market. Beauty is not in what we weave into our hair, but in what we keep within our spirit. Beware of those who promise beauty with no price. The baobab tree never grew its leaves again, but its roots glowed faintly under the moonlight, as if keeping watch, reminding the market what happens when vanity meets hunger for power. In a world where beauty is currency, never trade your essence for what glitters. For sometimes, the hands that bless your head may be the same hands that take what makes you whole. And if only they knew what she did with their hair, they would have gathered it like their soul. And so, another tale folds into the dust of time, a whisper carried by the wind from one tribe to another. In every strand of hair, every drop of rain, every spoken word, the ancestors still remind us, what we give, we become, and what we take, we owe. This has been Folktales of Many Tribes, where stories breed, shadows speak, and lessons live beyond the telling, until the next fire burns and another truth is revealed. Listen closely, for the spirits still have more to say.